Abusuafo na etie ni die kwan so me pacho me ma obi bia akwa ababa channel so ahanum daily update TV obo kwan so say na no first time ababa channel so message so ni die kwan so otie news ni we na so ni dwan. Please subscribe for more updates, like and share news. Ma all love so nya news ni bi enti nyakopon share no nyokese busua me pacho bebre me pacho pa Zenator Rawlings na wapi ababonten e de nsem bia betudwa. Video aye de bremu pacho credit to Power FM Kwame Minka show so dwabo ase na me pacho yenya sa video e free na me pacho Kwame Minka na o invite Zenator Rawlings eba na show so e wadwabo ase Power FM ana o like obisa questions ana obisa ne say enti Zenator me pacho advice ben out be ma Afenyo Markins so what the Afenyo Markins so ye unua mo Parliament enti advice ben out be man ana obi na no nsem o kan say na nsem ni bi ni say Afenyo Markins so far nkomo mudi ni na eche say Afenyo Markins so arrogant. Yes, Afenyo Markins ankasa even cry nyese omo no mo kan wo ne me anasa wo me ne wo kase unim say Afenyo Markins or display high degree of arrogance in everything he does. I don't know say too many sika when yentina or yes ane dia, but it is of no doubt say power corrupts absolutely and absolute power corrupts. There is no doubt about that. Maybe anona ne sa dia who say to me when you to me na was said this no obey fine, that is okay. And that is human nature. Fine. Now me pacho Zenator Rawlings akache ni say onhwe ye na niema esisi wo baby foforo no Ghana yenye exceptional. Bibia ni a ase one de patapa bi na chinchina o person this sa patapa sem no to maneuver the way through no. There be entesa. Now rather no on making sure say obe meet the leaders. Ono a leader atofos nso a leader. Speaker of Parliament nso a leader. Any ye won call for bi so mo within. A omo kasa omutie. On making sure say obe meet omo. Na omo ye de omo enye negotiation. Omo build the consensus. Na omo fa yi entu yi. Na ne nsema ya no pie ba bonten beke Canada eno no ebe draw Ghana back. Ebe draw ye back because we've gone a long way to build your democracy into level where ya bedri. Enti onye ma shana wanye ama ase sa ahoma so ne men pene na chinchina ye na we say we have to find we have to have a way no embe say your democracy no ombre no ase ombra from kakra na onweden on making sure say so far on cause political instability be who they make an assent as on cause political instability be and also onye bibia e de Ghana ye democracy ni sabe ko back wakeka bia kire pa ebusa me mam kasa nyeti nyeko niko ti wi e bedi nkomo nyame hia no nyokese
ma eye Afenyo Markins fo because odo na di eye omo wa ban ni mo ani mo mrahye bedwafie so utu no fo de na beka so because ade bia mete ye o mrahye bedwafie ne se mo ba mrahye bedwafie na mo ba atena se adwuma na eya anopapa no leaders ni speaker ego hia moto adwen na makọ benkro mu nya mo be decide no na akoso concern bia wo a ya solve wo ben no anya sa na si ye okokokos meeting wo yeso obewie na mo so moto ade na cheda so utu no fo ade na beka kire no
Enra actually Enra no, to be quite honest, before every sitting no, or before every week ever starts at the beginning of every meeting no, yeshia me make a business committee a committee a lay out more or less the timetable for the week ahead.
Okay.
Business committee in share. And so that in itself was quite peculiar because normally by 9 na business committee Asia. Latest 9:30.
One also of Mamushia.
Oh, clerks now work committee, and it is also by instruction of leadership.
Okay.
But there was no such meeting. But actually, I guess maybe that should have been an indicator. It didn't actually cross my mind and say, yet what? Afenyo say, that's a business committee crap I think my humble piece of advice, and I say, we must remember that at the end of the day, ejuma na ye no ye de sum Ghana for na part of sa role no is not simply about say ye jina ho ye debates, ye bisa questions, ye pass motions. It's also about making sure say Ghana for don't lose belief or faith in the system that we are practicing. Because also they also in other countries no. You must realize it can happen anywhere at any time. So you must protect and preserve what you have.
That's right.
We must not let Ghanaians lose confidence in us. I feel say even when it has come to this point where now publicly my humble suggestion would be this. We have 28 days to an election. Let's think about the people of Ghana. Leadership should meet. You know, and your meeting biana ye de cameras ebemu. And your meeting biana ye ma ubia so to say ye share and I say ni say. There are a lot of meetings that have happened with leadership on both sides. But at the end of the day, it creates room for the right thing to happen.
Yeah.
Inti me mum dear, my humble suggestion would be say, Obia mana kumanto ni yem na yen dwen Ghana ho. Mpenimfo no enhia said ye ya woman speaker Asia no woman shia na woman Georgia na yen share the way forward. Because at the end of the day, there are some things that you can't dispute. Numbers no so subtraction na arithmetic no say NDC has more numbers than NPP.
Yeah.
But it does not mean that governance becomes something that cannot be done.
Absolutely.
That's where compromise, that's where that negotiation comes in. That would be my suggestion.
To leadership.
Yes.
But then again, the speaker so kind. May come back.
No problem.
Or can say me what the press conference. One of the reasons they are Ghana for 2 aba said you must see 2 years in Mrashebe fie. Abe said yes here you know. Because Ghana for percent MPP ni NDC ye juma bomb. Said about my Ghana akwane nim. And ye ne si sad ye no kwan. Is it the case NDC are you ready? MPP are ready?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day,
Unim,
let me just use yesterday as an example. Yeninra ye campaign. Yeninra yenim said yenya maximum 3 weeks because within a few days to election, there's no campaigning allowed. In Tianfan said we have 3 solid weeks left of campaign.
Yeah.
Nyo biana won crying. A binum free north and a buy, upper west, upper east. A binum free bono a buy.
Yeah.
Because we were recalled.
Yeah.
Enti se obia every baby a owa oye ne campaign and ni abre a opeso o winning in elections na FJBB aba to play a role as a member of parliament because we've been recalled. I think that it would have been in better faith say at least yeninra yenhia wo. But that did not happen, and I felt that it was unfortunate. I felt it was unfortunate because it's in that room and I'm common I was say bono. Yeah, boss debates or why I was saying na ye. I just feel say if the intention was not for us to meet, I'm not fully understanding why the recall was done.
Could that have been the intention?
I say if that was the case, because we were supposed to come back, and our duty as members of parliament, if you are recalled to parliament, you're supposed to be there.
Yes.
You have to be there because we're Jumano with primary mandates, is starting in the house.
It's not so bomb de bomb NDC say Mona say Ghana for who say Mom Pese Mobabwa. I'm a free as Yanyam Rebi at the Abatechi. Mona Musi who quine. Some mama buying and no more than this one. I didn't right to do that.
You know something? I think that let's be truthful. Because social education committee and young people MPs in Kwanete education committee no so NDC for ethics committee no so. Did you ever hear that NDC members of committee are blocking our policy way? No, because it's something that we believe in. The problem was the implementation. Musisi ada a school ada ya nkola betnemu. And more implementing idea more share the sustainability in terms of how to sustain it economically. My role a day out afa mu hu baby am benya sika no e dey a sustaining programming afa more creative shift system because you didn't put enough infrastructure in place for the children to be able to have everybody going to school at the same time. And I hear you say ours is not about because also the FQ This was a policy that we started.
That's right.
I went to JSS. I was part of that first generation. So it's something a philosophy. But when you are implementing something as a government, you must look at its sustainability, and you must make sure, say, in passing that thing through and making it happen, no, you are not creating another problem. In the NDC, you can't say you be cancel BBR. There you can say, shift system, no, I will say you put infrastructure in place. Now you're in trouble because it is not helping our children. I collect me in school now, but not here for 3 months at a time. Now we're doing say at the end of the no, additional a becanitim. It's as simple as that. Inti sakasa no dear, many women yarding. And I even heard all can say NDC4 we're trying to create chaos. Sebe. We are all representing people. Now yanuma ye NDC4 no, and your opia ewa your constituencies and ye NDC ni. We are there to serve the people, and it is very disingenuous and very unfair. So bejina media nim aka say yen epese kosi chaos and ka epese kosi chaos and ka dia kosi inka, would we be quiet and just complying? I think that was an unfair statement, and I feel say it was in bad taste. Still can't say You cannot just tarnish people with one brush stroke so close to an election.
Wow.
Let's make sure that the election is free and fair and transparent. Don't try and plant seeds in people's minds. Say election, then we'll create problems, and this is the way move it. No.
Wow. Nancy speaker ni kasa won sentwefo nhia mu no. Oda nsem bia de ogina ye mamra no so ekasa say, ladies and gentlemen, the powers of the judiciary ends where the nose of the parliament starts. The constitution is very clear on freedom of speech and of proceedings of parliament. Articles 115 and 116 grant members of parliament privileges and immunity of speech, debates, and proceedings on any matter or thing brought by a member of parliament in or before parliament by petition, bill, motion, or otherwise. These articles you are carrying on. The Kenyan number 115 they say there shall be freedom of speech, debate, and proceedings in parliament, and that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of parliament. And Article 116 says, subject to the provisions of this article, but without prejudice to the general effect of Article 115 of this Constitution, civil or criminal proceedings shall not be initiated against a member of parliament in any court or place out of parliament for any matter or thing brought by him in or before parliament by petition, bill, motion, or otherwise. Meaning that you be a basic piano and one a better. And then court at the ruling biaba. Speaker say new makano and to talk mrashabefie edumase. And a member of parliament to the crowd were ye no. Sana mona wo 2 a weekend mrashabefie. And one baby I bedru ya. Say omo crampo mo say yembe ya buying business no. Omo kwaya caucus meeting. Emo mo betenasia. And right you two mrashabefie chair. And that wabra yenim da ye besamba. What is happening?
Honestly, even for me, and way enemy second term, this has never happened before, as far as I'm concerned. Now, I think they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. At the end of it, we come out with a solution that strengthens the independence of the legislature. Now, dear, what's a ye, yetimi, because as we know, parliament, if it's a year, it's difficult in the sense, a be part of a hybrid system. Omampeni the ministers near appointees or ye be free parliament. Na ye name say parliament one of ye juma and say was say ye play an oversight role over the executive. Na yemfana say ebia ejuma bi wo ho ena yafa o say hwede me ye no so na say me ya de na nya na wetia me na so I can say we de wo ye no den.
That's right.
Now, if me ma fa say okay, meaning say you the wash ho say you juma way, but me so me ma we juma, me say be ye me ebia me.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And see at the end of that day, no. Say BBC why they now become mano. And it's a real difficulty as we face in Parliament. Because I bear to say we have a combination of systems. Emma Obia wo Parliament na ebia wo government and a war na. Emma so yeah dear that full independence no any ho. And it's something that has been admitted by both sides of the house. The government and opposition sides nina. Inti the Americano is nothing new. But maybe we really need looking at some of the things a dahwa you've pan for granted say it won't cause any problem. Now you shemuye. Inti minim say a lot of people have called for, constitutional reviews and things like that. Yes, this is our longest lasting republic because there's something unique about constitution where it has just endured, but it hasn't endured in a vacuum. It has endured because we've managed that. There's been also, even in terms of security services, part of the reason why we've had this kind of continuity, NSA, there's been a way of going about things so that there's some sanctity in their institution.
Yeah.
But we've seen a gradual undermining of the independence of various institutions, various agencies. Now, Sabio, Sauti Akunyaso, now we sikai. Now, Ode Bobo Akunyanaya. There's only one thing that can happen. Eventually, you will fall.
That's right.
So, we must make sure we are not doing anything that will cause us to become unstable. We have 28 days left to the election.
Yeah.
This is not an ordinary election.
Yeah.
This is an election after 8 years. And we all know in Ghana, traditionally, Ghana after 8 years, almost is a presidency, almost is a party now, and at the presidency. And there's a lot of tension, and over the period of this NPP government, Ebinum have lost some confidence in the Electoral Commission as well. So there's a lot riding on the transparency of this particular election, on the fairness. We've seen issues with the register, polling stations, numbers no and make it sense. There have been things that are what we will call red flags. Now, baby, Sabi, no matter who you are, whether you are an incumbent or not, I will say, for the sake of the future, for the sake of even creating a stable environment where investors will be comfortable to come and invest, we must make sure the steps are far towards the election. Ninyema in the lead up to the election. It's not making people lose confidence in what is possible to do in this country. And for me, I think, and menya lawyer, and I'm not the most experienced member of parliament, but maybe references now Speaker A, he picked it from the Constitution. So there is a document that we look at, and your friend precedents. We've seen this happen before in the 7th Parliament, and I feel we have to find a way to come to the table and have some kind of a conversation that moves away this level of acrimony. Obibeka said, we could now in a press conference. Well, it's just a idea or but you see, the impact on the psyche of one of my ATSRs in same way, it starts to create a feeling of, are we safe? Because I bet to say one of my you expect they will manage these things a little bit better, and now you are wondering what is going on, and you are thinking, or let's say one of my any part of the legislature are now not part of the system, may not appreciate some of the little nuances So from what you're seeing, you start to get worried, and you're thinking, is everything falling apart? Because it's starting to have that appearance, and sometimes about Nema say it's not always what is fact, it's what people perceive. Into biadiano and say, but dear Cosono and man crofo e feel say I say to the point where I feel people are starting to get worried. Because enra ne nrechi, baby ayabeko bia say a fitting shop or so be hairdressing salon. Obia sa questions we omo bisa say nti e na ekosui. E na ekosui. Ye drew one fitting shop bia papa bi eka say, well, someone amoye approval of sa a judges.
Yeah.
Na shred the ekosui.
Mako faba.
I had nothing to say.
I
had nothing to say because at the end of the day, people are observing what is happening. And it shows Ghana for are discerning. We need to be a little bit mindful in so that we build confidence in the institutions of governance. Say the beya say ya to abano outcome na ebebano. Obi abeje atumu se nokre say na esiye obi enriemu obi ansese bibiara obi anye de emfata de esiye no ye ninura yaje atum say the right thing happened and then we move forward because at the end of the day mene wa yete hey 7th December ye ninura ye koto aba at the end of the day isi kind results no whatever they may be on the 8th. Wow, sorry. You should be able to get out of your house. Like I said, make sorry.
Yeah.
So Juma sorry. I also to me sorry if you would die. There should not be a concern after that election. Say, oh, say anything basi. After all, look at the way the world has just gone quiet. Some people are in shock with the election from the US.
America, yeah.
But the end of the day is life must move on.
That's right.
The election, and yes, it must disrupt our lives. And what we do leading up to it is important. And for me, no, no, let's not be like that.
Now, speak and also say, for contempt today. And Katie Amon and Wakasa to the sense that your media, your GB, yes, it's a sacred, your Kasama Mododo.
Really? So, where's the freedom of speech? Where's the freedom of speech that is enshrined in our constitution? Are we a democratic, a constitutional, a governance country, or are we just doing ad hoc, as and when we wish? No, now Obiafa constitution or say so on pedia koswa now wasesemu. No, let's not be disingenuous. Let's not be disingenuous. If freedom of speech was fair when John Mahama was president, freedom of speech must be fair under President Akufo-Addo.
On fire.
We must not switch things around. There should be consistency. So bibi wo hona enye na obi aye bibi afani pa call National Media Commission.
That's right.
If you're not happy with the way the Media Commission is doing things, have a committee to review it. But let us not start dismantling the things that are keeping Ghana up as a huge beacon of democracy, not just in Africa, but across the world. Mo betoye, you should not leave it broken. You should make it better than when you came. That is how a democracy evolves. Business committee Ayewohe, recently we did a benchmarking trip to the Parliament of Rwanda.
Yeah.
Rwanda, Debia, Obiaka, and Rwanda. The history that they've had to get where they are now, no. And Yadia Ghana for should ever pray for.
No way.
Or wish on their worst enemies.
No way.
Now, so that has taught them lessons on how to create, I suppose, more harmony within their governance system, and making sure, say, for example, in Ghana, Parliament has not till date under this fourth republic, no. Government year budget woman de ba said the woman de ba na.
Wow.
In Rwanda, there's a committee in Parliament that takes part in the budget cycle at the very beginning.
Oh.
Into budget, no, by the time it comes, no, you are not going to reject it because you've been part of it. Yes.
Your committee account.
Parliament they start there. Into there's no way say budget no Parliament at the end of it Parliament be rejected because they've been having that discussion from early on in the budget cycle. Also, no, they include community engagement as far as how the budget is put together. And by the time the budget is passed, they've also considered in terms of priorities, the communities that are involved, the projects that should be involved. Bear in mind, main case our system no you're perfect too, but there are things that we can learn.
Yeah.
There are things that we can learn so that when we talk about consensus building and good governance, no, and yadia we are doing it in theory, we are actually putting in structures that allow for greater involvement and inclusivity. Say, no, we have a new committee in Parliament, a budget committee. Women are going to play that role, God willing. In the next budget cycle, there will be earlier on involvement in the budget that before it comes to the house.
Wow.
Well, these are little things that we should be looking at as a people. And let's leave the other things aside that EMFA progress Emma. Say now what say. For example, in Rwanda, the Speaker of Parliament cannot by law come from the same political party as the president.
Wow.
Yes.
By law.
By law. We need to look at it and understand, say, if we can create greater consensus and greater synergy, some of these acrimonious things are easy, or at least not to this extent.
Yeah.
We have to think about this country.
Very well. You're bringing electoral commissioner for Yaba College.
Abusuafonete for me do bibia se wenyamre no akonya video ni bi nso ahwe we peaceful election advocacy and amede brem eni die kwan so come December and as comes of December nyakopon ya adom na se PSA ekoto aba ye make sure se nyina ye be contribute to this peaceful election enye se kantwe enye etu ototo yesre obia eni die kwan so pa yesre obia okwa obetima nya time and monitor the electoral process ni nyina so obia de na senya please report nipa to nipa also reporting ma na me pacho any day kwan so me do bibia se ye de nkomo ni be sia fa comment e share comment section ye beje na ya kenkanya me nhira no nyo kesi me da se